Hello, beautiful people. Reverend Teresa here, and today I want to talk to you about something that has completely transformed my life and is so near and dear to my heart, and that is a sacred Sabbath. Now, Sabbath doesn't have to be on a Sunday, right? It can be whatever day that you decide works for your Sabbath. It's not related to Christianity or Islam. It's not dependent on a religion, right? But this is about you taking sacred rest for your soul. And so on your Sabbath, I'm going to invite you to consider a couple of things, okay? And one is your state of being. So when I say that, what I'm really referring to is, many of us do take our Sabbath on Sunday. And so if we are in a state of rest, which is what a Sabbath is a sacred rest, taking a day as proclaimed in the Bible, in the Quran, in all of the major religions. It's actually one of the 10 commandments. Why is that? Well, we are made in the image and likeness of God, right? And so God took a rest on day 7. And if God needs a rest, don't you think we do too? Right? So I started doing this thing, and what I did was I started doing silent source days on my Sabbath. And you don't have to do this any way that I do it. I'm just giving you ideas because at the end of the day, many of us don't even remember that it is one of the 10 commandments to take a day of rest, right? And there are some extremists that will not clean, will not cook, and they just rest and have time to play with their family or connect or focus on God, whether that's in study, prayer, meditation, or all of the above, right? But what I find is when I use at least some of the time for silence and stillness, that is giving me the best opportunity to be still and know God. The only way that we will ever know God is if we choose stillness and silence. Now, God is within every single one of us. However, if we are led by our mind, which is also known as being led by our ego wants us to do, go. And that is really ingrained in American culture right now. The more you do, the more productive you are, the better you are as a person, right? Well, that is wrong. That is being of this world. And we are spiritualized beings here having a human experience. And the only way that we actually are able to identify with the spiritualized side of ourselves is if we be still and know God. I don't care if that's for 10 minutes, for 30 minutes. You pick your time. You pick what works for you. Wherever you start, just know I recommend starting slow and growing from that place, right? In a way that feels comfortable and doable. But, a lot of people have a real issue with silence. And that is because, they're just used to all of the mental chatter. Well, it's going to come up when you're practicing silence. And the beauty of this is if you just sit in it and you allow it to be and you just observe it, then you are allowing it to process. Otherwise, it just stays in your head running in loops, right? And so if you want to really step into your power, really step into your knowing, really step into your confidence, really step into your divinity, I invite you to choose a Sabbath. And on your Sabbath, I invite you to consider no alcohol, right? I mean, some people do plant medicine. I've done it in the past on my Sabbath. You can make it sacred and it can be a beautiful experience, but it's not what you do, it's how you do it. The thing with alcohol is alcohol brings in spirits. That's why it's called spirits, right? And so if you are seeking God and seeking stillness, but you're clouding your system, which I'm not perfect. I drink at times I'm sober. I play it by ear, but when it comes to my sacred day, I want as much clarity and quietness and stillness as possible. I will still go to church, right? But sometimes I plan a little spiritual retreat like this weekend. I'm so excited. I'm doing a prayer retreat to strengthen and deepen my connection with the 12 powers that are innate within all of us, but we must call upon to strengthen into our vessel, right? And so that's what I'm doing this Sunday. I'm so excited about that. But I invite you to play with this. How could you have fun practicing or embodying Sabbath? Because here's the thing. We are a being. We are not a doing, right? But we get this so confused because so many of us are just doing. And I'm so guilty. I've done this my whole life, from the age of 15. I had 2 to 3 jobs, a business, being a caretaker full time, and then of course I volunteer here and there and everywhere. And next thing you know, I don't have time for myself. And that is the biggest dishonor that we could do for our divine vessel, okay? So if you really want to dive deep into what you are truly made of, what you are truly here to create, which I truly believe that every being is a piece of the divine, right? The divine is in every single one of us. Some of us will nurture the divine within us as if it was a seed sprouting through, right? And you can consider that awakening, expanding your consciousness, whatever you want, however you want to look at it. But when we nurture it and when we practice Sabbath, just sacred time of just being in the moment sometimes I just skip TV. Sometimes I turn off the internet in the house for the day, Sometimes it's only for a few hours. But I want to be disconnected from all the worldly things so that I can dive deep into myself and experience the divine that is innately within me. Because if we're not looking within, then we're just looking outward to fill whatever needs we think we have. And the problem with that is Source, Yahweh, the divine, is the true source and supply of everything. So when we make at one-ment with the divine our one and true desire, then everything else comes together in the most divine, beautiful way. Like Yahweh is the infinite creator, divine, infinite intelligence. Yahweh has the best plans. It's not going to take anything away from us. And what we're here to do, it only adds value. Yet on the superficial side, you will see some things fall away, right? But nothing of truth, nothing of purity will fall away from you. And that is the thing to remember. It's the false stories, the false narratives, the false or the toxic relationships. That's the stuff that falls away. And just because a relationship is toxic now and it needs to fall away, it doesn't mean that it can't come back in a more profoundly beautiful, divinely aligned way, right? You're letting go and saying, my commitment is to my at one-ment with the divine. And when you make your Sabbath sacred, you put that stake, you put that claim in, and you make the universe know that you're serious. And when you're serious, the universe responds. How does it respond? Synchro divinities, blessings, incredible relationships, opportunities that are beyond your wildest dreams that just kind of seem to fall in your lap, but they didn't because it was designed by Yahweh, right? But it just comes in. And so it's really beautiful. So I invite you to take a sacred Sabbath and let me know how that works for you in the comments below. Thank you for joining. Please like, share, and subscribe.